Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, sir. We are the researchers, namely Angelica, Alfredo, Jenica, Kishimor, Andrew, Jerome, Jeremy Joy. We are conducting the research entitled The Implementation of ROTC Among Criminology Students in Baguio City. Our advisor for this research is Ma'am Joanna May Awas. Introduction. So our study is focused only on the implementation of ROTC in the University of Cordilleras. In the global context, ROTC originated in US, wherein the cadets helped the government in fight of insurgencies. ROTC as a college-based program, it means that ROTC is only implemented to tertiary level, most especially to criminology students. ROTC to criminology students, this means that ROTC is implemented solely for criminology students for their future career. Our literature review. So our study rooted in the following researches. The implementation of ROTC at Taguig City University basis for action plan. So our research is patterned on that research conducted by the Taguig City. Another is the Commonwealth Act number 1, or the National Defense Act of 1935, which provide for the instruction of ROTC to college students. Republic Act 7077, also known as the Citizen Armed Forces or Armed Forces of the Philippines Reservist Act. Another is Republic Act 9163, also known as the National Service Training Program Act of 2001. Methodology. Our research design is mixed type, qualitative and quantitative approach. Data gathering tool. The researchers use survey questionnaire, and our respondents is, we use the random sampling. Data gathering procedure. Upon the creation of a letter signed by the researchers, addressed to the and signed by our advisor and addressed to the dean, and upon the approval of the dean, the students are permitted to conduct the research. Treatment of the data. In the quantitative approach, the student use general weighted average to treat the data, and the qualitative approach, the researchers use thematic analysis to treat the data.
Results and discussion. SOP1, the perception of students. It is perceived that ROTC program is beneficial among the participants in a way that it trains them and prepare for their future careers. Some quoted that it is very helpful, especially to those students who can apply in their future profession, and it also builds leadership and camaraderie. Students will be knowledgeable about military education and training. ROTC program also builds good character to some participants, finding themselves growing while undergoing ROTC. Their development mostly involves learning new knowledge and experiencing new situations. Notable response is that coming from participant 21, which he stated that it helps to mold the character of a student, and it enhances the abilities of the students to be disciplined and exercise their own good leadership because of the lessons being shared by the ROTC. It also hones their leadership skills, and ROTC also sometimes may be helpful in community in times of disasters, like ROTC, like flooding and landslides like that. So with the military education and training, they can be helpful. Although most of the participants perceive ROTC as a way, in a good way, and it is beneficial. Some participants perceive their ROTC experience as in a negative way, which they perceive that it as the ROTC program is a waste of time, which they find themselves, which they say it as the ROTC program taken for granted course. That's all.
So statement of the problem 2, extent of implementation to the chosen university in Baguio City. So we have 7 indicators. namely ROTC, aims to provide military education and training for students to mobilize them for national defense preparedness. ROTC prepares college students for service in the armed forces in the Philippines or any law enforcement agencies. ROTC helps to instill nationalism among students. ROTC students are trained to be obedient when it comes to taking orders from a higher official. ROTC members are trained with military strength of leadership. Cadets of ROTC demonstrate a sense of responsibility when they are ordered to do a task. And last, the ROTC cadets exercise punctuality. All of these 7 indicators resulted into higher range. And it has the general weighted average of 3.58. When this is converted to a whole number, this will result into 4. It only indicates that the extent of implementation of ROTC in the chosen university is strongly implemented since it has a high range of the outcomes. Thank you.
So next would be the SOP number 3. So this part discusses the challenges in the implementation of ROTC. So the theme that was manifested in the course of interview was the diversity in the attitude of criminology students. So why? Because of the negative and positive experience and the perception of students with regards to the implementation of ROTC. So the categories that was noted here is the behavioral attitude of the behavioral attribute in the implementation of ROTC. So for example, the students' leadership and submission to their superior officers. So another one that they have stated was they stated that it is a chance for them to learn about the ROTC implementation. So another category that was noted here is the negative attitude towards the ROTC program. So why? Because some students is uncooperative and unwillingness in the ROTC program, and some of them lacks discipline. So another category here is the perseverance of students. So it was also stated here discussed here the pandemic situation. So students must also cooperate and do their best despite this situation. So another in the category is the physical endurance in the training. So that's it. In our summary of findings under SOP number 1, so ROTC is hopeful and beneficial. So under SOP number 2, it has an average of mean of 4. So this means that the ROTC program is strongly implemented. So in our SOP number 3, in the challenges, it is the diversity in the attribute of students. So next would be the conclusion. So in our conclusion, in the light of the findings, the following conclusion were drawn. So in relation to SOP number 1, the perception of the criminology students in the implementation of ROTC are beneficial in their lives. So under SOP number 2, in conclusion, on the indicators provided, most of the students answered strongly implemented with an overall mean of 3.58. So strongly implemented. So under SOP number 3, the challenges in the implementation of ROTC are the diversity in the attribute of criminology students. So next would be the recommendation in our study. So in our recommendation, we have divided it into 4 recommendations. So in light of SOP number 1, since we have manifested that the perception of ROTC is beneficial, so we must continue to implement the ROTC. So in relation to SOP number 2, since most of the participants has answered the strongly agree, which means it is strongly implemented, the ROTC must strengthen the relationship between UC and the military headquarters. So under the SOP number 3, since we have diversity in the attitude in the challenges of implementing ROTC, it must have a strategic plan in its implementation. So in our study, it means to implementation of ROTC. So that's it. Thank you very much for watching and listening.